Hey, good day everyone, and welcome back to the Oak Island Research Channel for a new video today. It's been a while that I haven't produced any video, just checking the sound was working, due to combination of work and personal life, and also, when the season is not broadcasting the series, sometimes there's less motivation or less inspiration for videos. This one I had for a while, I just delayed it. And what we're going to try to answer here is who painted the Rochefoucauld Grail miniatures. Do we have any hint on who's behind this? We're told it's Rochefoucauld VII. Do we have more information, maybe from the academics, maybe from Professor Alison Stone? She spent most of her life studying them. Maybe she providing information that could reveal very interesting for our story. Let's have a look together, and welcome back to the channel. I'm very happy to do this video. Okay, so we're talking about the Rochefoucauld Grail, which is a manuscript, as you know since you follow the channel. And the Rochefoucauld Grail in French, illuminated manuscripts on vellum, Eastern Artois or Western Flanders. So that's the region that's border between France and Belgium, if you look on a map. And these are cities I've been to because I worked there for a while, and probable 1515 or until 1315 to 1323. And that was the estimated price when it went on auction, and it got sold for 2.5 million British pound. So that's what we're talking about today. So this part is taken from the Sotheby website, and you can find it. The Sotheby kept the page where it was advertising the Rochefoucauld Grail right prior to the sale and the auction sale of it. What is interesting in there, illuminated in Flanders, okay, some other copies in British Library, and perhaps for Guy VII Baron Rochefoucauld, who ordered it. Because in 1356, he died in 1356 at the Battle of Poitiers. But he was stationed in Flanders right around the time, the possible frame or horizon where he could have ordered the manuscripts to be created. The arms and standard of Rochefoucauld family were inserted later, between 1400 and 1500, which is 15th or 16th century, right? So about 100 years later, we find trace at the Rochefoucauld's, their private library, I guess, because you can find their baronial arms on it. But it doesn't mean it was there from the beginning. And again, it's only speculation that Guy VII who ordered it. And I'll explain that to you in the next slide. To remember, there were the 3 volumes of what was auctioned at the Sotheby place, including the miniatures that have revealed the Oak Island geography and the Oak Island story, are part of the 3 volumes. But there's a 4th one, which is split between Manchester John Riley Library, Oxford Bodleian, and Douce. So there's 3 areas where you can find the 4th volume. And those are accessible quite easily on the net. The 3 volumes are not. Only the miniatures we managed to find during the Sotheby sale. But for the other, you can pretty much find all their miniatures. And I haven't found much information related to Oak Island in the other 4. Interesting. Let's carry on. Oh yeah, by the way, the manuscript was not present on the Rochefoucauld's family library catalog in 1728, so it only stayed there for 300 plus years. We don't know why and who sold it. Let's carry on. So what we understand is, and I'm pretty sure it's Professor Stone's work all the way through, we're decoding here, based on the miniature style. There are several cities with several enlumineurs, was in French the name of the person who would do those painting, those miniatures. And there are several schools of them who would reproduce the same style if you want. But based on the style of the 3 volumes of the Rochefoucauld Grail and the location of the different Enlumineur school, the Rochefoucauld Grail was dated between 1315 and 1328. There's no date stamp on the manuscript itself. It's not written like in modern, doesn't have an ISBN, right? Like in modern books, you know, when it was edited and printed. Here, not. It's speculation. So from comparing the style with other, that's, I guess, how they did it, Professor Stones concluded that the schools of those Enlumineur people were either the Saint-Omer, the Tourneur de Ghent, which is all in the Flanders region, border between France and Belgium. But at the time, it was not even French. France was a very, very small country at the time. On the other hand, you got Guy VII Rochefoucauld, who was stationed in Flanders around the same time, making possible the order of the book. And the Rochefoucauld Grail was in the Rochefoucauld library for a while. I think that's how Professor Alison Stone concluded that perhaps, which is the word from the page before, perhaps it was Guy VII who ordered it and it ended up in the family library, and that's why we're gonna call it the Rochefoucauld Grail. But there's no proof of this. Could be anybody else. Could be the Rochefoucauld family buying it out in 1400 and putting them to the library. It could be a coincidence that Guy was stationed in Flanders at the same time the book was created. Could be. We don't have any certainty, and I think that's how, maybe they got more information, but that's how Professor Stone's team ended up naming it the Rochefoucauld Grail, I think. We know this picture here, this miniature, has got 3 levels of reading as depicted in my videos and Michael's. It reveals the geometry of the island and several key points on the island. It also reveals a journey by boat from east to west across the Atlantic. Just check out the videos if you forgot those demonstrations. And we know this one is coded, and this one is referenced Amsterdam 2, folio 202, right hand side. Amsterdam 1, 2, and 3 are the name of the 3 volumes here. And the other ones are called Riley FR1, Oxford Bodleian, Douce MS, that's how they call it. But when they refer to Amsterdam, they refer to the one that are of interest to us. Why Amsterdam? Because before it was sold at the Sotheby's auction, excuse me, it was the property of the Amsterdam, how do they call it? Hermetic Library. So that's why they name it Amsterdam, and this is the 2nd volume of the 3. There's 2, and this is the folio 200, the page 202 right hand side. So let's have a look on, do they provide more information? You have to love to read complicated lines, but that's where the information is really. So this is the project manuscript specification from the Professor Alison Stones, assisted by Michael Gulick. What they did is they chased by comparison, must have taken a lot of time, for instance, the Scribes. Those pages are made of 4 features. A text written by a scribe, the pen flourish. Let me show you what the pen flourish is. I've got a picture right here. So the pen flourish would be this in the middle, for instance. This art in the middle is called pen flourish. Let's go back here. The Champy initials are those big letters starting a word. That's how they call it. I didn't know that word in English, Champy. And the illustrations are the miniatures themselves. So for instance, they deduced by the ink, the style, the writing, that there were only 2 scribes who wrote everything. I would have thought those schools of miniatures painters and scribes would be like kind of a monk-like conglomerate, monk-like gathering, and like 10, 15 people would work on one manuscript. But obviously, there's only 2 people involved for the scribing. Pen flourishing, I'll let you read if you're interested. Champy, they say 3 hands only throughout the 600 pages created this. Only 3 people worked on the big initials here. But even more surprising, the painting, the illustrations, the miniatures, there are only 3 artists. And they call them hand 1, hand 2, hand 3. What they say is hand 1 is the artist of Royal and is hand 1 of ADD. Hand 2 occurs in Disraeli. I don't care. That's not what interests me. This picture is from the Royal Amsterdam MS1. So it's a single artist who created all the miniatures, about 107, top of my head, from the Sotheby's auction information. 107 paintings, a single guy did them, according to Professor Stone, who spent most of her life studying them. The other, Disraeli, the number 4, the one that's split between other libraries, that's another hand. And they say hand 3 is a later artist and occurs in Amsterdam, Doos and Riley. So you see, not a lot of people were involved in the painting. And whoever got involved in this one, at least, and others we show, either knew about himself, about the Oak Island geometry, and wanted to encode it as a private initiative, a personal initiative, or he was instructed to do so by being provided blueprints or geometric maps that he had to reproduce and embed in the pictures. And now, since we know it's only one guy involved, it's easier to keep a secret with one guy that you can control, pressure, pay, whatever, to keep it a secret and not spread it out, rather than a team of 10 people, of course. Remember, the text, the Scribes, got nothing coded in it as far as I understand. Pen flourishing neither, it's only in the illustration, and now we're dealing with only one person who created them. That's pretty interesting, isn't it? So this page is reference MS1, which is Royal MS1 or Amsterdam, Volume 2, Folio 202, right-hand side. Can we know more about this artist? So here we go again. Now they are chasing the illustrators, the text writers, the Champy painters by the book, because not only the Rochefoucauld Grail is a 3+1 manuscript set, there's also stories in there. Histoire, Merlin, Lancelot, there's more. And so Amsterdam here, we got 1, 2, and 3 volumes, and it goes choirs, occasional catchwords, some catchwords. Okay. What I'm interested here is Amsterdam 2, and my folio number, my page number is 202. And this goes, Lancelot goes from page 28 to page 233. So this is where this picture is. It's in Amsterdam's second volume, a volume that goes from page 28 to page 233, called Lancelot, the story of Lancelot. And what we learn when we look at it, 123 illustration, 80 illustration in Amsterdam, 43 in Disraeli, 101 by hand, blah, blah, blah. Pen flourishing initials, okay. What's interesting is, where is the, I was looking, oh yeah, here we go. So 103 illustration, 80 in Amsterdam, 43 in Disraeli, 101 miniatures by hand 1. That's how they call him, hand 1. In one column, most preceded by rubrics and followed by one line in capital or in Amsterdam Volume 2, pen flourishing initials, etc. Again, they confirm that it's only one hand, and they name it hand 1, who created this along all the other ones in the Rochefoucauld Grail, the ones that seem to be coded. Okay, now I'd like to talk about the Rijmbichbel of Jacob van Meyerland. Oh my gosh. I think it's Dutch, okay, and I think it means the illustrated Bible. Bijbel is Bible, from what I understand. I think Rijm is images or illustrated, and you can see a copy It's been on Expo about 2 years ago. We missed it, obviously. I'm not sure I wanted to go to Amsterdam to see it, but same type of old book from the same ages, where they got texts and illustrations and etc. And why is it interesting to us? This is, for instance, on the left-hand side, one of those pages, which kind of looks similar to the Rochefoucauld Grail somehow. You've got the pen flourishing here, you got the Champy here with a big L, a text, and an illustration. Now, it doesn't mean we found the right guy. It was how, back in those days, most of those manuscript Bibles, etc., were executed with several schools again. So here I found one of the colleagues of Professor Stone's, who's working at the University of Utrecht, linked to the University of Amsterdam, did a thorough study of that illustrated Bible, created by, and it's very rare we know who illustrated it, but in this very case, I'm going to show you how, we know who wrote this, who drew and who painted those miniatures. So the name of the academic who studied this is Professor Claudine Chavannes-Mazel, very French name. I wonder if she's French, but she's got a medieval art in northern Netherlands academic position in Utrecht. And this is a high-def copy of some of the page, and you may recognize some style that we are familiar with. If I circle this here, we've seen that before in one of my past videos. And we see a very upset guy here. We've seen upset guys in one of the past videos also, studying other picture. What does this say? Well, the lady, the academic lady, Mrs. Chavannes, wrote a paper about the origin, and do we know for sure it's this person who painted the miniatures of that Bible, illustrated Bible. So you can pause and read if you want, but she basically tell the story about somebody whose name Van der Horst in 1654 studied the life of the illuminators of Flanders and fell upon a Michel van der Borch. The Illuminator was his title, Die Verlichter, who's been entering the place Utrecht in 1322. And very interesting, this matches more or less the timeline, and we're in the right region, the Flanders. But Michel van der Borch was not living in Utrecht. He moved to Utrecht. From where? Two schools. Some people say, from what I read, coming from Great Britain, which could be interesting to our story, especially if it's Scotland, but I don't have any proof, since most of other people, including this academic, think he was not coming from Great Britain, but from another place in Flanders. She also states it's quite rare for medieval miniaturists, that's the word I was looking for, enlumineur in French, to sign their work. The names we do know are all from later dates. Scribes who signed the books they transcribed, like a colophon, much easier to detect. Among this list of scribe and miniaturists, only Michel van der Borch and Spirnik are illuminators who, one way or another, signed their work. In 2004, Klaas van der Hoek discovered a third miniaturist, etc. But this Michel is interesting because he signed his work. How do we know he signed his work? Because at the bottom of this picture, at the bottom here, there's a piece of text there, right? And the piece of text is here. It's in Dutch. That's the Dutch original sentence, which translates into English. Do one write in prayer, us gentlemen, with a date. Enlighten me, Michel van der Borch. Please tell him that God must show his compassion. Basically, he's asking for the reader to make a prayer, ask a prayer for himself, Michael, in order to be blessed for his work. But he's requesting that prayer to him, and that's how we know his name, Michel van der Borch. Now, would we be lucky for one time? Coincidences. Again, let's have a look at the style of this Michel. Now we know he painted this. Did he painted the miniatures of the Rochefoucauld Grail that hide the solution or some indication about Oak Island? Let's have a look. Top left, this is from this illustrated Bible we know Michel created. Bottom is one of the Rochefoucauld Grail picture. Either it's people from the same school, at least, because it's the same style. You can see the red on the cheeks and the red on the underlip, just like here. You got it on the cheek and on the underlip. The kings got it on the underlip. You got red traces, etc. The way the eyes, I can't describe. You must judge for yourself. The hair, the beards. I like those wave thing, and you'll find them right here. The wave on the beards. It's the same style, definitely. Let's have a look at another one. The way armors and helmets or helms are pictured, and you can see here from the Rochefoucauld Grail on the right hand side. I've got a video about this picture, because what you find is this line here, which goes right there, and you got a line here, and you even got one there, and you've got one of the eye, I can't remember, like this, I think, and this is La Hampe, and you've got here, this line is the Ver line, the east-west line, etc. So it matches perfectly on the island geometry. But look at the armor, the way they're drawn. I mean, we're in 1320 something, and it's not like you got an art school in every city in Europe. Only handful of people can perform such sketches and perspective and drawing, get the money to get educated, get the access to the painting, the brushes, the canvas, the whatever. Remember, it was painting on a golden leaf. So again, it looks very similar. Here is another one. Again, look at the hair and the eye, the way it's made. I personally believe it's the same person who drew the miniatures on this illustrated Bible named Michel van der Burg, as it is the person who painted the Rochefoucauld Grail miniatures. At least it's from the same school of people, from the same city. But I really believe, and that crazy guy here, remember the crazy guy we had on one of the video? Ooh, it was almost scary, like a Joker. But yeah, interesting. Oh, here it is. I forgot I put him. Look at this guy here, and look at him. Okay, they're not the same guy, but the expressions, I don't know. To me, I think I found who painted the Rochefoucauld Grail miniature. But it doesn't bring any further conclusion, because the next question is, how did he get involved, if that's him indeed? Did he know the secret himself? Why? How come? From what source? Was he told under contract? He wasn't killed right after. They didn't assassinate him after painting this to make sure the secret was kept, because we find trace of him living at least until 1438, 1340. But yeah, this one, for instance, I was circling this one, but look at the picture, right? I hope it's not in there. But this you can find definitely the exact same in one of the Rochefoucauld Grail miniatures. I'll let you judge. That's the work I can provide. I cannot conclude for sure. I think Professor Alison Stone's in the same situation. She can conclude either. She's an academic, so if she concludes so, she's got to prove it. And at the moment, we can't prove it because there's no name signature on the Rochefoucauld Grail. All we can do is make comparison. This is not my field of study. I'm an engineer, so I may be wrong also. It could be tons. It could be 99% of whatever was produced at the time was copycat in style, but I doubt so. And again, I found too many similarities. The context is right. So why not Michel? I would bet $20 on Michel. Hey everybody, thank you very much. That's the end of this video, and we'll do more as the season restarts. I'm sure Michael will publish one soon too. And take good care of yourself. Love you all. If you haven't subscribed, do so now, and I'll see you soon for another video. Bye bye.